I'd like to welcome we'd like to welcome the American Red Cross with us this morning. We're doing this online instead of in person just to be safe. And today with us, we have Casey Marshall and we have Thomas Harless. And I'm going to let you guys kind of give a little brief description of your role and what you do, and then just launch into it. We're excited and welcome.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Ingrid. Thank you for having us. Many thanks to the Caldwell Senior Center, and many thanks to April and Ingrid again for allowing us to participate and for supporting the Red Cross mission. So my name is Thomas Harless, and I am a volunteer recruitment team lead with the American Red Cross. With us today, as Ingrid mentioned, we have Senior Recruitment Specialist Casey Marshall. And we are just so excited and grateful to be here. And we're so happy that all of you could join us and be with us here today. So just a few housekeeping things before we get started. If everybody would please keep their mics on mute. And we're going to save the questions for the end of the presentation. And also, definitely feel free to add any questions that you may have to the chat box. We're going to be checking that at the end of the presentation, and we'll certainly go over any questions that you may have. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next slide and take a look at today's agenda. And I'm just going to read right straight from the agenda. So we're going to go over the Red Cross mission and fundamental principles. We're going to take a look at the American Red Cross lines of services. We're going to look at disaster volunteer opportunities and our other day-to-day roles, the benefits of volunteering. We're going to take a look at the next steps to get you started as a volunteer, and then we're going to take those all-important questions at the end of the presentation. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the next slide and jump right into the mission of the Red Cross. So the mission of the American Red Cross is to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of volunteers and the generosity of its donors. Whether it's helping communities prepare, respond, and recover from disasters, helping supply life-saving blood to patients in need, or supporting our military members and their families, this mission is at the core of everything the Red Cross does. And of course, these are just a few areas that our mission touches, and we absolutely could not do it with the help of our volunteers. So we'll go ahead and move to the next slide. And with that in mind, it's a perfect segue right into the 7 fundamental principles of the American Red Cross that we share with our global Red Cross network. Those 7 principles, as you see on your screen, are humanity. Of course, the Red Cross is here to meet a person's basic human needs when they need it the most. Impartiality, we're here to help anyone and everyone. Neutrality, we do not choose sides no matter what. We're here to help. Again, we're here to help everyone. And certainly independence. The Red Cross is not a federal agency. We have our own identity, and we are separate from the U.S. government. And our volunteer service, 90% of the workforce within the Red Cross is made up of its volunteers. And Unity Red Cross must be open to all and must carry on its humanitarian work. And universality, all Red Cross societies worldwide share the same responsibility, and that is to help people. So with all of those in mind, the Red Cross fundamental principles, again, really is at the core of everything that we do in supporting the mission that we carry out. So the next slide. All right, so we're taking a look now at our services. And again, just taking a look at that, there are 5 areas that the American Red Cross works in today. And as you see on your screen, those are preparedness and health and safety services. So basically what we're doing there, we train the community in areas like first aid, CPR, AED, babysitting, and more. A lot of services going on there. Our biomedical and blood services, the Red Cross supplies 40% of our nation's life-saving blood supply to patients in need. And our disaster action services, the Red Cross helps communities prepare, respond, and recover from all types of disasters, such as home fires, hurricanes, flooding, anything like that. We're there to serve our local communities. And again, services to the armed forces, The Red Cross helps members of the military, veterans, and their families prepare for, cope with, and respond to the challenges of military service. This is something that we've done for a very, very long time. And of course, the Armed Services is a huge partner with the American Red Cross. And our international services, really, we're helping families separated by crises. We help to rebuild communities devastated by disasters. We work alongside health organizations to eliminate global disease. And the international service of the Red Cross works to provide everyday relief for those who need it. All right, and we'll go on to the next slide. And just as a point, this is a really key important point too that I always like to make when we do these presentations. Again, the Red Cross is made up of 90% volunteers, and we do offer diverse volunteer roles in all of our departments. And so a lot of folks, I know when we share this information, they really can't believe, the Red Cross, as large as it is, and to think that 90% of its workforce is made up of those volunteers is really super important. And we just could not do it, without our volunteers participating and supporting the mission. So in looking at this slide, I'm just going to read here and take a look at the numbers. I really have kind of a knack for the numbers, and I like to share those as much as possible. So as you see on your screen, every 60 seconds, 63 people are assisted by the American Red Cross. 390,000 times a day, a child receives measles vaccination from the Red Cross and its partners. 30,000 times a day, a person receives life-saving Red Cross health and safety preparedness training. 190 times a day, the Red Cross volunteers to help a family affected by a house fire or a disaster. And 380 times a day, we provide emergency assistance to military members and their families. So again, just some numbers there for you to think about, and how the work of the Red Cross and what its volunteers do every day impacts the lives all across our nation and all across the world with our global partners. So next slide. All right, and just taking a look quickly at this map. This map is actually comprised of the Greater Carolinas region of the American Red Cross. That is certainly the area that we represent. This region is made up of 47 counties in North Carolina, and also 4 counties in South Carolina. You'll see that the eastern part of North Carolina is separated from the Greater Carolinas region, but we do partner with quite often with the Eastern Carolinas region whenever there's hurricanes and any type of disaster such as that. We often use volunteers to set up sheltering sites for those evacuees in the western part of the state, so to remove them and get them out of that area of danger. So with that in mind, I know that's a lot of information that we've gone over, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our Senior Recruitment Specialist, Casey Marshall, and she's going to go over some of our key volunteer needs positions. Casey?
Yeah, thank you, Thomas, for that overview and kind of introduction to all that we do. Thomas is one of our key volunteer leaders in the community and is always connecting with partners and helping people get started as a volunteer. So just thank you for that, Thomas. And next, I'm going to jump in and take a closer look at disaster services. That's a big area that you can get involved in there in your local community in Caldwell County. I know our disaster services volunteers are very busy right now. There's a number of things going on, especially in Western North Carolina with all the flooding that occurred this past week. Our volunteers opened up a shelter in Haywood and Buncombe County in the Asheville area. I think we had 80 people stay there the past few nights that we've been helping. We are also gearing up to do disaster assessment, where we go and look at people's homes that are damaged and get them started with casework. So just kind of wanted to share something that is going on locally. You never know what can happen. We just had a tornado hit Wilkes last week. So our disaster volunteers are really there to be trained and ready to go when the community needs them. So you can see on this slide, we are helping out with large scale disasters such as hurricanes and floods. The most common thing that we respond to are home fires throughout the community. So just at a local level, we do respond to all home fires throughout the Caldwell community. And what we're really doing there is helping those individuals and families impacted in those unexpected emergencies. So we do a lot of disaster response, but we also do a lot of preparedness throughout the year. We kind of call it blue skies and gray skies. We've got blue skies, which is our everyday, day-to-day getting communities prepared. And then we go into gray skies, which can be a little crazy. So right now we are in the midst of hurricane and wildfire season. So there are opportunities to help out at a local level, or we can send you to a large-scale national disaster if you have 2 weeks and want to go and help out in a shelter. Red Cross will actually arrange all of your travel and expenses and get you there. So just kind of wanted to give an overview of what all we do. Next, I'm going to share a local opportunity, which is one of our biggest needs in Caldwell County, and that's being a disaster action team volunteer. And before I jump into this, I just want to share a short video. Hopefully technology will be my friend, and this will just give you an overview of this opportunity that you can get involved in your local community, and you'll get to meet some current Red Cross volunteers. So I'm going to play this video here.
I'm a member of the disaster action team. We respond to fires, floods, storms, and so forth.
And hopefully everything's going to be okay.
Any kind of natural disaster at homes or apartment complexes, we provide aid to the residents who are the clients.
You're there to assess the situation, to find out what the client's needs are, and to see what you can do, and then to see what other members of the team can do.
The duty officer is the first point of contact.
This is Daniel with the Red Cross.
We gather the information for the client, and we then send it to the responders, and the responders then go to help out the client in the start of their recovery.
We receive a call 24/7 and quickly go to the scene of the incident and help the client find them safe lodging for the night, as well as provide them with some resources and get them going towards their own recovery.
You need to have compassion, because we are the first people to talk to these clients from the Red Cross. And a lot of times we set the tone for how their whole experience is going to be.
A debt responder needs to have empathy. They need to be able to emotionally connect to a client.
I wanted to do something that had meaning and had purpose. Every time I go home after a fire, I know I've made a difference in someone's life.
The rewarding part is just to see that you're actually helping somebody and they appreciate it. That means a lot to me. That's my reward.
It gives me a sense of satisfaction knowing that I'm able to help people in their worst time of need and be able to help them get started on their road to recovery.
There are tears, there are hugs. They are just very grateful. And that gives me the satisfaction that I've been able to help them in their time of need.
We see a lot of things. A lot of it's happy, a lot of it's sad, but sometimes things really touch our hearts.
When we tell people that we're volunteers, there are people that come to us then and say, how can I do this?
I would tell somebody that if they're a compassionate person, if they want to help others, if they want to, in a very quick time frame, within 2 to 3 hours, really make a difference in a person's life at their time of greatest need, it's an opportunity to do just that.
All right. All right. I mean, what a great video. As I mentioned before, our disaster action team volunteers it's one of our most critical needs in Caldwell County. But as you saw in the video, it's pretty much a locally trained team, and they respond to all disasters, including home fires. And basically they're there to provide comfort, hope, and resources to those affected by the disaster. I will say we've adapted our service slightly due to COVID. So disaster volunteers have the option to either volunteer on the scene. We do have COVID protocols in place, or they can respond virtually, which means you can follow up with families impacted via phone or computer, provide that warm hello, let them know that we care, and then basically you'll complete a client intake sheet with them that's going to assess their needs for immediate assistance. So oftentimes we will provide financial assistance if a family is displaced from their home. That can get them a hotel for a few days. We also provide other services like replacing medication if it was lost in the disaster, or medical equipment. We can get them comfort kits, that kind of thing. You will need internet and a phone and things like that for this opportunity, but definitely a hands-on way to get involved. So I always tell volunteers, sometimes you're working with people on the worst day of their life in this position. So you do have to be prepared for that. But again, you're just bringing a lot of light to a dark situation and starting them on that road to recovery. So I just wanted to show you some local numbers here. This is a map of the high country area, and is our disaster response over the last year. One thing that I want to point out on this graph here, I know it's a little small, but you will see that this past year, Caldwell County had 26 events that we responded to, and you will see that that is the most events out of any county, which is very interesting. And I just looked at these numbers from last year, and they pretty much looked exactly the same. We responded to about 26 events, and I think last year we helped 77 people instead of 76. So we do see these trends over the years. So you will see last year we responded to 26 events. We opened up 32 cases, which is what our disaster action team volunteers do. They help open those cases, get them assistance, and then we assisted 76 individuals. So you'll see the number of individuals a little bit higher, because a lot of times we are helping at a family level if there's multiple people in the house. So just kind of wanted to show this map here. The Caldwell County area is definitely going to be over here, and you can see there's different clusters and things like that. So again, you can respond on scene in your community, go out to the scene. We always send 2 volunteers at once. You never be by yourself, or you can also respond virtually depending on the disaster. So just wanted to share those numbers there. Another great opportunity to get involved in if you don't want to be on the scene and kind of on call 24/7. We do have disaster casework volunteers. This is a volunteer opportunity that you can do from home. And again, you just need a phone and computer. But basically what happens is once our disaster action team does those initial steps, they then transfer the case to our caseworkers, and our caseworkers work with them on an ongoing basis. So a lot of the times as a caseworker, you're going to be conducting interviews over the phone, assessing their qualifications for assistance. And then we also work with many community partners throughout the community. So depending on what the family's needs are, we will often connect them with other community partners. For example, we work very closely with Goodwill. If a family needs clothing and things like that, we will actually connect them to get Goodwill vouchers so they can go and do that. So just an example. You'll see that our disaster action team volunteers that I was talking about previously, they rotate around on a team being on call. We have to ensure sure that our communities have access to our services 24/7. So they do rotate around being on call. There could be a shift that goes by where nothing happens. There could be a shift that goes by where lots of things happen, but we really can't predict those disasters. I like to bring this position up because it's a great way to help and it's less of a time commitment. Most of the time our casework volunteers are just helping out a few hours a week, but really helping these families get recovered. So one slide that I didn't add to this, I should have, but as I was mentioning earlier, we also have a sheltering volunteer opportunity. If anyone is interested in helping out with large-scale hurricanes in the southeast, we have a lot of volunteers working with Tropical Storm Fred right now, or we're sending volunteers to California to help out with wildfires. We can get you started. There's about 3 hours of training classes that you can take, and then you'll have one-on-one experience there too. So just wanted to bring those up. Other day-to-day roles, I've talked a lot about disaster services, but you can also get involved with blood services in your community. As Thomas mentioned earlier, Red Cross supplies 40% of the nation's blood supply to patients in need. Each time someone donates blood, you're helping to save up to 3 lives. We are seeing an increase in patients needing blood right now, and that's because a lot of elective surgeries were placed on pause due to COVID, and now they're all being scheduled again. So definitely a big need for blood to help patients in need. This is a great way to help. We do blood drives all throughout the community in Caldwell County, and you can volunteer at those. It's a pretty easygoing opportunity. Our blood donors, ambassadors, if you've ever been to a blood drive, it's someone there that's at the front desk. They're checking people in, helping to schedule future appointments, answering any questions that they have. They also assist in the canteen area, just making sure people feel okay, providing snacks, that kind of thing. But this is a really great way to help out as well. You can kind of sit at that front desk. The time commitment is about 6 hours a month, so you can do 1 blood drive a month if you'd like to. Once you get signed up, you'll have access to an online calendar, and you can see where the blood drives are scheduled, and you can sign up for ones that work with your schedule. So this is a really great way to get involved as well. All right, so let's jump into some of the benefits of volunteering. You may be thinking, if I become a Red Cross volunteer, how would this benefit me? There are a ton of benefits, but a few, you'll definitely meet other people. It's a great way to kind of meet other volunteers, like-minded people. We do offer free first aid and CPR training for volunteers. So after 90 days, you can get that free certification, truly making a difference in your community. You can gain new skills, build up your resume. There's a lot of opportunities to work with community leaders, gain service learning experience, public speaking, and leadership skills. Yeah, so we hope that you take the information that you learned today and make an informed decision if you want to join the Red Cross family and make a difference in your community. There are 5 steps that you can take to become a volunteer, and Thomas and I are very happy to help you with this process if you are interested. Our application process does take about a week. You pretty much go to redcross.org/volunteer. You'll hit apply now. You will read and agree to our policies. Step 3 is to upload a photo of your ID or your driver's license. We do require all Red Cross volunteers to have a background check. That is free. It's covered by Red Cross. Step 4 is to complete volunteer screening. Whenever your background check clears, we will reach out to you to answer about 9 questions. It's very simple stuff. Just, why are you interested in volunteering? What's your availability? That kind of thing. And once you complete that step, you can start volunteering. We'll basically send your information over to disaster services or blood services, whoever that volunteer supervisor is, and they will follow up with you with training and scheduling information. So if anyone's interested, I'm happy to connect with Ingrid after today, and we can make sure that you get the steps. And like I said, if y'all need any help with the process, that's what Thomas and I are here for. So we'll definitely help you. All right, well, let's get started with questions. I cannot see the chat box, but Thomas or Ingrid, could you let me know if there's any questions in the chat box?
I see I see a couple. So we have a question about the military, and that question is, how exactly do you help military when they have a parent that is sick and the military member may need to come home? How does the Red Cross handle that process?
Yeah, so I didn't highlight this one, but we do a lot of work with the military, as Thomas mentioned in the beginning. But basically, we have something called a Hero Care Network, and that is a number that any military member or their family member can call if they're experiencing any type of emergency. And our casework volunteers are there to help. Red Cross is chartered by the U.S. government to provide all emergency communications to military members. So, for example, if there is a service member overseas, Red Cross will actually get the message to them and work with the military over there to get the service member home. So, for example, if there's a death in the family or another type of emergency, we will get that person home. And that's exactly what our casework volunteers do. They help with those emergency communications. Also, if there's any other type of emergency, we can assist. For example, if a family is experiencing a financial emergency, we can work with our partners to maybe get them a loan with 0% interest, or we have a huge database of different partners, so we can basically help. Does that answer the question? You can pretty much call this 1-800 number, and we're there to help basically families cope with the challenges of military service with whatever arises. So if you are a veteran or you have family that are in the military and you really understand the challenges of military service, that's a great volunteer opportunity as well. It is a casework volunteer, so very similar to the disaster casework, where you just need a phone and computer to follow up, and we'll kind of teach you how to do everything. Did that help answer the question? Is there another part I need to answer?
I believe hopefully that does help answer the question. Thank you for that, Casey. And also we have 2 more questions. Can you give me a pamphlet on the military with a sick parent? And could you email us a copy of the slides? So.
Yeah, definitely. Ingrid, would you have the ability to send out the slides to attendees?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And yeah, I'd be happy to share some information about the Hero Care Network. If you do have someone in your family, that's who I would recommend calling. Thomas, what's the person's name that asked that? I can make sure that they get that information.
So it looks like that question is coming from Mary L.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Mary, we'll be sure that you get that information, and hopefully Red Cross will be able to help. So.
Yeah, and thank you so much for your question too. We really do appreciate those questions. And if anybody else has any other questions, you're certainly, feel free to type those in the chat box or unmute yourself and just ask, and we'll be glad to answer those. If anybody else has any questions, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, I do see Ingrid's hand up. So Ingrid.
Yeah. I have a question about the training. Is the training volunteer position specific, or are there different training, like a blood donor assistant versus maybe the caseworker?
Yeah.
And how does that work?
Yeah, each of our volunteer opportunities is going to have individual training specific to that position. So if you are a blood donor ambassador volunteer, we do have a couple of online classes that you will take, and then that's followed by one-on-one training. So your first day at the blood drive will make sure that you have all the information that you need. Same thing for casework or any of our disaster positions. They all have some online training that you'll complete, and that's always followed by one-on-one training. And we have, for example, disaster services. We have someone called a disaster engagement mentor. I kind of think of them like a guidance counselor for the department, but they will work with you, make sure you have access to all your training, check in with you. Most likely for like disaster action team and disaster casework, someone will work with you one-on-one. So you're kind of training with an experienced volunteer until you're comfortable. So yes, training is provided for all the positions. And like I said, it's individual training. We do have a general Red Cross orientation that you can take to learn about everything. And then there's individual training. So yes, good question.
All right. Well, I think that's all the questions that I see in the chat box. So
yeah, well, if you all think of any questions later, definitely let us know. And we will connect with Ingrid and get you all some information about the next steps if you are interested after today. And I will get that information to Mary as well. But yeah, had to end the slide here with the cute dog. Everybody loved that. Yeah.
Smiling.
Yeah, he was. So yeah, I just want to thank you all for joining us. We truly appreciate your time and attention. We encourage you to share what you learned with your friends and family. We hope you'll consider joining the Red Cross family as a volunteer and really make an impact in the lives that need it most. But we're very excited to connect with you after today. We will conclude with a quote from the one and only Mr. Rogers. So when I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, look for the helpers. You will always find the people that are helping. So thank you all again, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks again, Ingrid and April, for the opportunity. So
thank you.
Thank you.
thanks so much. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.